everyone. This is Chuck Taroni, Reading's Conservation Administrator. We're here in person and online through extended COVID-19 regulations. And tonight we have, tonight is December 12th, and we will be discussing two items on the agenda, which will be IARC Chair Brian Bowe. And right now I'm going to turn it over to Brian for a discussion of the agenda for tonight's meeting and then a roll call for attendance.
Okay. It's 7:05. And it's a relatively short agenda tonight. The first item is Eagle Scout project presentation by Zale and Puff. Then we have a hearing for Zero Small Lane, which has been continued, and a hearing for 400 Grove Street, which has also been continued. At that point, we're done with the hearings and we move into a number of discussion items or vote items. These include a certificate of compliance for 24 Corey Lane. We have an emergency certification to ratify. We'll get a quick update on the MBTA from Joe Fleury. We'll get an update on DCR Trail Grant from Walter. We have budget update conversation. We'll go over the proposed meeting schedule for 2026. And then we'll discuss our site visit to 43 Arcadia. After that, it's old new business with the usual suspects. And that's it for tonight.
Can I just pop on the recording right now? So.
Recording in progress.
Having said that, we'll do roll call. Joe, start with you.
Joseph Fleury, Associate Member, present.
Shrug.
Jack Staliker, present.
Walter Talbot, present.
Rick Keogh, member, present.
Martha Moore, Vice Chair, present.
Brian Bowe, Chair, present. Okay. So we can get to our first item. You want to come up to the podium and take us through your slides.
On my screen real quick. I'm Zalen Puff. I am a Life Scout from Troop 702, and I am looking to get my Eagle projects, or Eagle rank. So here's the project overview. So the basic idea is I'd like to replace the first 30 feet of the Alligator Alley Boardwalk on the wood end side because the current section is uneven, it's unsafe, there's trip hazards all over the place. The new boardwalk will be 8 inches to a foot higher than the old one, so it sits out of the water a little more. The basic design is a culvert wood and decking design used elsewhere in the town forest and other conservation areas. A majority of the cutting and assembly will be done offsite to reduce the environmental impacts of the projects. This project's important because Alligator Alley is one of the, all right, I'll keep going. It's the main connector between the town forest and there's a lot of heavy foot traffic. It's just mainly used, and there's a lot of hikers on there. And the existing structure has a lot of trip hazards, and it's dangerous for hikers. The new design will increase the safety and lifespan of the boardwalk. The construction plan, so it'll be composed of 2 different days. It'll be the offsite cut day, where we'll pre-build sections to reduce the environmental impact, and then all the remaining field cuts not done on that day will be made on tarps or on high ground to prevent microplastics in the wetlands and in the mud. And then the installation day will be geared for early April due to the weather and the whole paperwork process of an Eagle project. So I'll remove the old boardwalk very carefully so that no debris or existing structures get left there. And then I will install the pre-built segments, and then we'll also use temporary platforms to avoid disturbing the wetlands and the vegetation. For environmental protections, like I said earlier, there will be minimal on-site cutting, with all of it contained on tarps. And the temporary decking will be used to avoid trampling vegetation and disturbing the wetlands. And then the old decking will be removed carefully to prevent debris entering the wetlands. And also the trail will be closed during the workday, and hikers will be safely redirected using signs and notices. For a safety plan, the power tools will only be used by the older scouts and adults with proper supervision. And then for personal protection, everyone operating power tools will have gloves, glasses, and hearing protection to ensure that nobody gets hurt. And then wet condition precautions will be taken because it's in the wetlands. And there will also be continuous adult supervision. So now I have some pictures here. So if you look at the picture on the left, it will go ideally to the 30-foot mark, and then it will also, down at the bottom here, it will extend up the hill to make it a little higher off the ground. That's the view from the other side of the two sections. So this will leave this section not rebuilt. These are some pictures from the newer sections on that boardwalk that demonstrate the design that I'd like to use. So it has the culverts on the bottom, and then the boardwalk is resting on top with the culvert sandwiched in between two boards. These are more designs. There we go. This also shows the boardwalk there, and see at this section, the boardwalk's a little higher off the ground than in these pictures. It's not loading again, but ideally with this new boardwalk, the whole thing will be level and at an equal distance from the water. This shows the connection between the old and the new, and these posts are from the old design, and ideally those will be replaced by the new culvert system. This major direction change is where the boardwalk will end, and we will remake that so that because there's a tripping hazard directly after that. If you see right about where my cursor is, there's one tripping hazard, so we will remake that without that tripping hazard. This is also about halfway up the boardwalk, and it's just a bit of a change in direction, and we will correct that so it is a complete straight line. The design plans are still in question and developing to fit my budget, the lifespan and safety of the boardwalk, and then also the needs of the trail committee. But the basic idea will be 3 10-foot sections made of 4 stringers and composite decking on top. The boardwalk will be resting on plastic culverts sized to the slope of the boardwalk. But the use of culverts is subject to change. I know there's talk about using posts in the ground instead. These are a few pictures of designs that were given to me by the Trails Committee. So this just shows basic the stringers with the decking on top, and then the supports on the bottom. Here's another picture. So this should actually be 4 stringers here instead of 3, and that's just kind of like the framework, the skeleton of the bridge, and the decking would sit on top of that, and then the stringers would sit on top of the culverts. Here's another side diagram showing sort of the same thing, but with a bit more detail. So this is just a basic budget. We've noticed that a few things aren't completely accurate, and that's also still developing with the designs. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So questions from the commission? Anybody have any questions down that way?
I think you did a good job presenting. I haven't seen the trail myself, but based on those pictures, it does look like it needs some work. And I like how you mentioned about the hazards, you know, and eliminating those hazards. So I like the presentation.
Okay, any questions? Okay, questions?
First of all, congratulations for being where you are. I'm an Eagle Scout. It sticks with you for the rest of your life, so it's a wonderful accomplishment. It opens doors, so continue on, do well, and you'll be happy you did that. Thank you for doing this on behalf of the town. I do have a couple questions, though.
All right.
Where are you getting the money from?
So I will be fundraising this entirely. So the fundraising isn't finalized, my plan on where to get it, but I will talk to my scoutmaster. He has lists of places I can go. I also do a GoFundMe. I'll probably try to fundraise through my church, through my friends and family, and things like that.
Can the troop receive money and therefore get a the donor gets a tax deduction through the troop?
I'm not entirely sure about the whole fundraising process yet. Do you have any?
That's a possibility.
Okay.
Kind of has to go through the candidate first. But if that's the question, I can get you clarification.
Yeah, I'd be curious because if you're making a donation, it'd be nice to get tax credit for it.
We can create receipts.
Thank you. Looking at your details here, you're going to have volunteers do the work.
Correct.
Is there a mix of adults and scouts that you receive?
Yeah, so my troop 702 is a very large troop. There's about 60 active scouts with 100 registered. So there'll be a lot of hands from between scouts and parents. And I will have a lot of workers there, both adults and children, that I will have to lead.
Because since you have to raise all this money, I'm trying to figure out how can you make the number lower.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at your lunch and drinks. If you have volunteers, can they bring their own? That'll save you some money.
Yeah, typically it's just sort of tradition in our troop to provide lunch and drinks for the workers. But yeah, I could save some money there.
Your decking is going to be Trex.
Yeah, so it's going to be a composite. It's not going to be real wood.
Do we have that elsewhere in town? Is it mostly just wood?
No, we've been switching from pressure treated wood to composite decking over the last couple of years. So I can't remember the last time we got a load of pressure treated wood at the cabin.
No, I'm just curious because this particular project, okay, we got 30 foot of Trex and there's like another, what, 150 foot to go?
The rest of it is all Trex.
Was it?
Looked to me like it was.
Oh. I stand corrected.
Yeah, at least most of the way, maybe after that left turn branch,
I know
that might have been wood,
the
but
very end part I know was the lighter color Trex.
But to answer the question, yes, we have used Trex elsewhere.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
so.
Just one additional question. So in terms of the culverts, do you plan on bringing in any additional fill or materials? Or is it going to be kind of digging out areas underneath the boardwalk and then refilling them after you place your different materials?
Well, I think we will sort of shim the culverts to the height to make adjustments, but I haven't really thought about bringing in other materials to do that. So like what other materials are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, if there's any dirt or any other fill that you would be bringing, because we want to be careful of that being like a
Yeah.
wetland area.
I haven't really considered that.
So there may be an area that doesn't, because it meets up with the ground, meets with grade. So it's what's there now and what trails is kind of envisioned for that. So it's actually a question that I'm curious about. I think the only thing would be brought in would be gravel. What's the usual policy for that? Is it that you want to use materials that are already on site, or is bringing in gravel or 3/4 crush, something like that, acceptable?
We've had it, yeah, gravel is what they've used elsewhere. So I guess that would be fine. I guess
Well,
I don't know what it looks like, but
I would say it depends on where the gravel's gonna go. If you're putting it on an established path, that's one thing. If you're putting it into wetlands, that's fill, which counts as altering, and so you can't do that. So I'm not exactly sure where the gravel would go. I know that area, plus we're out there today for a site visit.
Yeah,
So I'm just not, what you don't want to do is fill any of the wetland. So I'm not sure how that affects what you're thinking of for your.
the
approach.
Trails Committee meeting, there was a discussion about extending the trail, which, was discussed, up the slope because it was flooding. And I'm thinking that upland area on the slope, the existing slope is where they are trying to have this boardwalk meet. But how do you do that and leave something there to nail the boards to? So that's where the fill might come in.
So if somehow you extended the boardwalk, so the ramp went over the wetland and landed on dry land, on upland, that would be okay. If you somehow were gonna land it earlier and think you could fill with gravel, then that wouldn't be okay. So extending the ramp to go up that little
Yeah.
rise makes sense to me, but not gravel in the wetland.
I think
I understood it from Trails that it was just on the dry land. If you needed some,
I think the first choice would be bark mulch or wood chips, which we have in, a compost area, real easy. And that will break down over time and someone else will have to put that up there, but it does blend in quite nicely. And I guess if you had to, it could be the 3/4 gravel or less, DPW is a good to talk to about that.
Well, the other thing is, that we've seen in other places where you put the gravel, people walk and they kind of kick it and sometimes kick it into the wetlands. If you were back further by Wood End, that first section there, it wasn't that long ago that there was a whole load of gravel put in there. You walk through it now, there's very little of it left. And so some has been pushed into the ground certainly, but a lot of it's been kicked over somewhere. So I very much agree with Chuck that bark mulch, something that would biodegrade as opposed to stone, would be preferred.
Yeah.
Okay?
That makes sense.
You okay?
Yeah, all set. Great work.
Just a couple of questions. One, you're talking about doing any sawing that's out in the woods on a tarp so that you don't get sawdust into the environment. Could you bring a portable, possibly battery charged vacuum cleaner to vacuum up what's left on the tarp so that you're not like trying to carry a tarp full of sawdust with you?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I have had the experience of having to vacuum up sawdust plastic after a construction worker at my house, and it was not fun. So, keeping it contained on the tarp is a good idea. The other, question I had, some of that, decking on the existing boardwalk looked like it's in pretty good shape still. Could you reuse any of that decking on your replacement and save some of your $743 expense?
So
And
that,
also be more environmentally friendly?
so that is an idea. The scouts, when they look over the projects, they're very against anything that resembles a repair. So they might not be happy about using materials from the old boardwalk. You might see that as a repair instead of a replacement. But I could look into that, yeah.
Can you explain that? Why are they against anything that looks like a repair? I mean, it's already patchwork, different colors from different durations of exposure and what have you.
I think it's just about the project. They want the project to be large enough so that it's not just like pulling up a few boards and putting down a few new ones. So that it's more like building something new and
So it's more to satisfy their Eagle project
Yes,
requirements
yes.
than actually necessity.
And when you say the scouts, you mean the higher uppers
the,
who are approving your project as qualifying for Eagle Scout?
correct.
Can that existing decking be used elsewhere? Like, could trails possibly use it if it was salvageable, or is that?
I was wondering how wide it is. I think that the scouts need to look at that because sustainability, it would be nice to not have this waste just somewhere on the earth, you know? I mean, I can understand if it was the pressure treated wood because that does break down over time. It's not gonna last even the 30 years that we were guaranteed, but some of these boards may last. Now, there's a standard width, which is around 4 feet, you know, something in that. And if the other boardwalk wasn't that wide, then they wouldn't be usable. So I think the best spot for them is on this new boardwalk, but if the Trails Committee had to take them and they were at least 4 feet, then that would be fine, because all the boardwalks that are going now are supposed to be 4 feet wide. Or let's say 46 inches,
And we didn't bring a tape measure on our site visit today.
Yeah, I didn't know what the rest looked like, but
It
it's
was
been
too
repaired
heavy
a few
to carry
times.
that far.
And I guess that was our other question. We figured out it's a good half a mile from the road into the site you're working. And if you constructed the whole 10-foot section with all of its planks on it before you carry it in, that's gonna be really heavy to carry that far. Have you got a plan of how to get your materials that far into the woods?
So, I think the plan that we came up with was to use the, we call the old council ring, it's a little bit up the trail as a staging area.
Okay,
So we can drive the stuff in there and then hike it, like 300 yards opposed to half a mile.
good.
And we'd also use, some carts, I believe, to take in some materials and tools.
Like garden carts kind of thing?
Yeah, something like that, like wheelbarrows, something like that.
Okay, and I guess well, I have two more questions. One is, if you're elevating your 30 feet, how are you going to make it meet the level of the existing boardwalk?
Yeah, so, I'm only really elevating the start, at the start, like they were saying, it's flooding, so it's only about 4 inches above the water. But as you get to where it connects, it's about a foot above the water. So the idea is we bring it up the hill so that that start is above the water. And then it's just flat all the way across.
Okay, so the 30 feet, one end will be elevated and the other end will meet grade with the existing boardwalk.
Yes.
Okay, and also, when you're finished working there, very important to us that any materials that you have worked with, any boards you took up, any small pieces you had to cut off to make everything work, get taken out of the wetland and carried back up to the council ring and loaded on a truck and taken away. So that we don't find scrap material left over when we go for our next hike down there.
All right.
I think you've already talked about making sure to be very careful not to damage the wetland as you're doing the construction. And that was all I had. Thanks.
Chirag, you had your hand up?
Yep, but I think that it got answered with Martha's question and Joe's question.
Okay,
I'm
good,
good.
thank you. So what are you doing with the material you take out?
So I believe we got confirmation that, was the DPW can remove, they will, remove it and dispose of it for us.
So you're bringing it up to the council ring and
Yep.
they're gonna take it from there?
Correct.
You showed us the picture, where there's another tripping hazard, right where there's that first angle section.
Right here?
Now, could you use some of the boards from the piece you're taking out to replace that sagging board there?
We probably could do that, yes.
And actually another section down beyond that, there's another situation with a sagging board or two.
Yeah, I believe it's,
We use some of the boards in that area. So you're taking care of the existing tripping hazard, but reusing material, which at least some reuse. Can you explain to me what you mean by temporary decking?
so the boardwalk that we remove, we can use that, like, when we pull up the 10-foot sections, we can use that, to stand on and cut on, opposed to standing in the.
Okay, so you're just gonna have it next to where it is to spread out the weight.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you look at that first section where the piece has fallen off the support post to figure out why it fell off?
So, you mean this one right here, where my cursor is?
I don't see, oh, right there.
Yeah.
The very first connection, yeah, that's it, right there, the
Yeah.
bad one.
So I believe the Trails Committee says because the joist hangers are rusting and breaking due to being submerged in the
So I
water.
was there today, it had definitely fallen off the hanger. The hanger didn't look rusty to me. I was wondering if you could fix the hanger and leave the segment in place. I mean, I didn't get down in the water to check underneath, but the part that I could still see, you could see it was still the galvanized look. At least look at that. If there's a way you could just rehang it, that would be a lot less material. So you might want to look at that before you buy the material, just to see if that's a way you could save
Okay.
both money, time, and material. Okay, that's all I had. Chuck, did you have any questions?
Sure, yeah, so you're at the town forest meeting the other night. Did you have an opportunity to talk to Chris Cole and Mike Essman about any trash and material generated and what your responsibilities are to get that to a spot where they can either pick it up or allow you to dump it at the garage and their dumpsters?
No, we did not talk about that.
Okay, so you could reach out to me, but you probably, and I would just give you Mike Kessman's number, but I believe they should have been at the town forest meeting, both of them.
Mr. Cole was, I believe,
Chris Cole, yeah.
This call was, but
I wasn't sure if, I know, Mr. Hanford wasn't there. We were going to talk to him too.
No, he doesn't go to those meetings. So it was Kessman, so Hanford is trees,
Mhm.
so this wouldn't be related to his responsibilities. But other scouts have worked out an arrangement, and the answer may be no, but you should ask anyways, because it's like I said, other scouts, other work, they've been able to arrange to either drop it off at the DPW yard or have it in a spot where it could be picked up easily. So please reach out to me or reach out to Essman or Chris Cole directly. The next question I'd like to ask would be about the culverts. And I asked you to find out if there was enough stock for you to get the culverts from the DPW, because my understanding is that when they have a job, they're keeping the pieces that are left over, and they're not valuable to the DPW if they don't have the bell housing on one end. Because it really can't be used. It needs to fit in. They need to fit into each other. So there might be an opportunity for you to save some money by having that same conversation with those two gentlemen. So those are my only comments. I like how you're protecting the wetland. I think you have to definitely police people on boards as they're walking along the boardwalk, because what ends up happening is they get off, and it might be something where you want to bring a couple boards out, so someone could be working and someone could be walking around too, or just see how it goes, and just think that you might have to make some accommodations during the day. That's all I have.
I do want to reemphasize something Martha brought up. In the past, there has been at least one Eagle Scout project where there was scrap wood left behind, and it was there for a year or more before somebody took it out. And I just really don't want to see that. So just make an effort to clean up everything behind you. I know Martha mentioned it, but I wanted to emphasize it. Having
Right.
said that,
I think one last thing, and you reminded me, and I appreciate that. So in the past, the Conservation Commission hasn't been part of the review after the work is complete, but from now on, we are going to be reviewing any boardwalks or whatnot that's happened. So we can look for our stuff, like,
Yeah.
we're not really concerned about construction as conservation people, but we want to make sure that the wetland isn't trampled and there's no debris out there and, just,
Well, in fact, that's how we
be
knew.
proud that
there was
we
grass
approved the
there
project, I guess.
Last time, because Chuck and I went out to look at it after the build, and there was several pieces. In fact, there was still a piece today when we were there, a small triangular piece.
Yeah, so I think from now on, we probably
Yeah.
want to see these projects and don't want to speak for any other committee, but I'm sure the Trails Committee would want to look also. So Brian, maybe you want to find out if anyone's here who wants to ask any questions.
So is there anybody in the public who wishes to ask a question or make a comment?
Use the raise hand function.
That's if you're online, in the lower part of the screen, look for reactions. Under reactions, there's raise hand function, and Chuck will see that on the screen.
Anyone here would like to speak? I see. No?
Nobody? All set? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve this project?
I move to approve Zalen Puff's project for redoing one end of Alligator Alley.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
Chirag Stalekar in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, Alan.
Thank you very much.
When you finish, just let Chuck know so we can know to go out and check it out.
All right, that's good.
There's only 5 minutes here today.
Since you're wearing a uniform,
Okay,
assume you received it.
Thank you. Excellent. Yeah, so I'll get clarification. Thank you. It's my first.
And Zaylen, you're gonna sign out? Oh, you did. Sorry. Yeah. Right.
He is a mensch.
okay.
Thank you
On to
very
the
much.
next topic. Next topic is Zero Small Lane. This is an ongoing NOI. Chuck has received a request to continue from the applicant. So can I have a motion to continue Zero Small Lane to the ask for a date? Chuck?
Just to the next meeting of January 14th.
I move to continue the Zero Small Lane hearing until January 14th.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
Chirag Stalekar in favor.
Keough in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Rainbow in favor. Okay. Next one is 400 Grove Street, also a continuation of a public hearing on NOI, also continued. Is that to the 14th as well?
Yes, yes.
Continued to January 14th. Can I have a motion to continue?
I move to continue 400 Grove Street to January 14th.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
Chirag Stalekar in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Rainbow in favor. Okay, that was quick. Now we get to discussion items or vote items.
Yeah, before we do that, I'm gonna make a public announcement. If you haven't signed in, right there on the sheet on the corner, if you could sign in, that would be very helpful for our minutes for the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
Thank you.
First one is a certificate of compliance request.
Yeah,
Well, in your bank account and how we get access to it. No? Okay, worth trying. All right, 24 Corey Lane, certificate of compliance. Does one of you want to come up?
do the site visit.
Are you here for it?
We're all.
So whoever's gonna do,
Homeowner and new owner.
whoever's gonna do the speaking?
Yeah.
Assuming they'll be speaking. Okay,
Yeah, I'm the former owner there. I hired Zingarello Construction back in 1999 to build this place, and
And your name is?
Lee Sullivan.
thank you.
And yeah, but when I sold the place, this came up on the day of closing. That I guess our certificate of compliance never was issued. So I thought we were in compliance and, I pulled a permit, for a porch, which I came before you guys a few years ago, it never came up, so I was a little surprised, but, anyway, I think we are in compliance and we're, though we're 20-something, 30 years late, like to get compliance and get the new purchase of the house, what he bought, so.
We did a site visit. Do you want to talk about it briefly?
Sure. We did a site visit. We were looking for issues with erosion and whether or not you were honoring the limit of the conservation restriction and any other possible issues. And we found the conservation bounds. These days, we ask those bounds to have a diamond-shaped yellow thing stuck on the top that says conservation
Mhm.
restriction on it. Yours bounds were there, but they were just granite or
Yeah.
cement. So
Here,
I would love to see Chuck provide you with the things that you stick on top, so they'll show up easier, bright yellow, easy to find. Other than that, I did not see any concerns about offering the certificate of compliance.
Walter, any comments?
No problems.
Questions? Comments, questions? Okay, Martha implied it, but I'll say it outright, and you have definitely not gone beyond the bounds. You haven't gone close to the bounds in most cases. And the new homeowner is aware that you can't. We had the conversation out there. Bounds means no disturbance beyond those limit markers. Let's see, when we were out there, there was some conversation about putting in a fence. Are you gonna come before the commission with a application for putting in a fence?
The fence, we already put in an application and this application was approved.
You did a administrative approval?
Yeah, must have been. So I can look, but I don't remember this particular property and approving. He's gonna tell me it was like last week, right? So when did this happen?
I think I submitted the application back in July or August for,
Okay,
I did it when the Sullivans owned it so that the Cleese could, get a fence as soon as possible for their dogs because they're.
okay. Oh, I do remember that.
Either way, it's not an issue, it's just we have to go through the process. Where you were talking about putting it is well away from the conservation restriction, so that shouldn't be an issue. Let's just do it so we cross Ts and dot the Is. We got that right. Also, you talked about some tree removal.
Yes. And now I have all the details in line with, maybe I.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely.
I forgot to ask you to do that.
Thank you. My name is Chris Klee. I'm the new owner of 24 Corey Lane, together with my wife.
Can you spell your last name?
KLEE.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. So when we looked at the property, so there were a couple of trees which were close and also were rotten at the trunk. And we asked the tree specialist, and what we are talking about are 5 birch trees. Either they are compromised and with rot or they are leaning towards the house. 1 small elm tree and 1 maple tree. Both of those, the maple and the elm tree, they are either already dead at parts of it, or they are leaning against the house too. What we did is we made a proposal to replace those trees with red cedar plants and some ferns. We provided that information to Chuck, and Chuck had the proposal that we add a little bit more. What we agreed to.
So you have a, planting plan that you're fine with?
Yes,
So that's both species, well, not species, placement, all the above, numbers. It's all good, Chuck?
the last, so where is the tree approval and the process? And did the commission go over this when you were out there? Did this come up as part
We
of?
talked about the trees. Mr. Clee brought us around to look at the trees. We saw the damaged trees and the ones leaning towards the house,
Mhm.
and it all made sense.
Right, so I think I was out there with Bob Moses.
Mhm.
And, yeah, I asked for a few more trees, to be planted, more shrubs. They were doing a combination of a few different things out there that worked for their landscape plan. And, I'm not sure whether it was, and so you got the approval?
No,
Or
I
are you
didn't
waiting
got,
for the approval?
I didn't get an official approval.
Okay.
We are waiting for that, yes.
So I think with the discussion here tonight, the commission can be brought in on that. And I was satisfied with meeting the arborist out there and going over the process. But then when the planting plan came in, I just thought it was a little bit light, but that's been beefed up.
Right, okay.
And you said there were 5 birches, but there's like one place where there were clearly 3 trunks from the same root base, and you were counting those as 2 separate trees, one of which had been removed and 2 are still remaining?
It's a different place, yeah.
Or is that only counted as one tree with 2 trunks?
That is counted as one, two,
Okay.
Yeah, you're correct.
There's another place where there are 3 going up, those counted as one. Our understanding is that was Chuck who
Yeah,
told you that should be counted as
yes,
one. So we're
that's
fine.
correct.
All right. So we really are looking at 7 trees here. But all the trees that we saw, and I guess I didn't see all 7, had significant damage in one way or another. And you saw the rest of them, and you agreed that they were damaged.
Or leaning,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So Chuck, we can't address that tonight because that isn't on the agenda. So we're gonna have to go through the paperwork with that as well, right?
Yeah, so anyways, that went through the tree removal
Sure.
policy. So, but I just wanted to hear what you thought and I guess get a check on what I've been doing. But it sounds like you agree also that trees can come down. The planting is what would have been required anyways, and that's what's
Well,
happening.
I do
here.
want to see the planting plan, so if you could send that around, that would be good.
Sure.
But I have a lot of confidence, well, I shouldn't say this, if you got a fat head, but a lot of confidence that if you ask for it, because it was light and you got more, I believe that's going to be sufficient. I just want to see it on paper for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, good.
So I'll reach out tomorrow if I have any questions. Otherwise, I'll send around the planting plan and then approve it. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much.
Other than that, any more comments on the certificate of compliance?
I guess my one question about the trees is we're acting like Chuck can do administrative approval for 7 trees. I thought the limit was 5 trees.
So it's 4 trees, but I think the ones that are dead are subtracted from the total count, bringing it down to 4. So that usually is what happens. Like people around town are usually taking down more trees, but we're trying to not be strict on some trees that are ashes, which are going to die anyways, or trees that have severe damage to them. So
Okay.
we consider those dead trees.
Okay, so these very damaged trees are the ones, and therefore it is less than 4, and therefore you can do administrative approval.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to move that we issue the certificate of compliance for 24 Quarry Lane.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
Chirag still
You in favor?
Mr. Talbot's in favor?
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Thank you. Enjoy your new home and enjoy your new home.
I I can prepare that tomorrow if you wanna come by and pick it up. But even if you don't come by and pick it up, let me know how many of those plaques you need for the granite bounds.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I got it from Tom.
Okay? So I'll send you an email through OpenGov.
Hang on one
just telling
second,
you it's
Tony.
all set.
Just Tony.
Can I reach with the email to?
What's that?
Can I reach you with the email?
Yeah,
Some of the
email,
next door neighbors, yeah.
or,
Is it
or through the
online?
portal. You can go back to where your tree permit is and
Okay.
just send me a note through that.
I'm seeing
Conservation page, and send me an email through that. And
three.
it's on there. Free.
With your email.
I think
Yeah.
there would be more.
I will do that.
Here.
I think I would say it's about 6. I got a week.
Okay,
Then it would be great if you could send us the proof so that it's
That's
one
the
of
name.
good, all right.
super. Thank you.
Looks like 3 in his yard, but there was 2 we saw.
It's not something that you, we just gotta give it to the lawyers.
By tomorrow, if you
Ah,
let me
there
know
is
it's
one on
tomorrow.
the riprap.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll
Okay,
prepare
so
it.
so it's
You can't
4
email it.
property
You
and
have
2
to
next door.
record a, inked copy.
Okay, and we
Okay.
can't
So
really do
it's something
anything
you
about the
need to
2
pick up.
next
Okay.
door.
We can also mail it,
You
But I
need
could
6
just
of those
prepare
guys.
it.
Six?
and you can pick it up next
Maybe
week
Friday.
also.
Tell him.
I'll have it
Oh,
out.
what
You guys
thought.
are closed Friday, right? So.
Close Friday.
Actually,
I'm gonna
4
be
are
there all
on your
day
property,
Next week, or I can make.
2 are next door.
Why don't you reach out in the morning?
To the left.
and-
I'm like 10 minutes out.
Okay, so
so
I
I-
can pick it up tomorrow. He can pick it up tomorrow.
I can pick it up anytime.
Anytime after 10 would work for me.
Perfect. I'll be
Okay.
there before noon.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
6.
6 total.
Okay,
4 on their property and 2 next door to you.
okay. 6.
And I told him 6 when we went. Okay, next is we need to vote to ratify an emergency certificate that was issued. These are for some light poles on at Birch Meadow, basically going around the sunken area for the people skate. They, apparently a number of them fell over and so obviously they were inspected. A few others were found to be compromised as well. So I think there's, I can't see it.
So there's 6 that we, so let me just get the.
Didn't I just hear that number?
must have-
Yeah, I looked at it today and basically they're labeled with remove and replace. So we need to put any conditions on it for how they approach the poles, so they won't damage that wetland area.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just update the commission. So in the brown up here and these areas, 1, 2, 3, it was a call from the police department to Jim Sullivan, the recreation department, and he had said, hey, you know, what's going on with the poles? They're on the ground, and Jim didn't know anything about them. So these actually fell down either in a windstorm or on their own. So one fell, the wires on them pulled down the next 2. So Jim thought it was prudent to have them evaluated, and he had a company go out there to evaluate them. And he found out that there were some issues with more than those 3 poles. And these ones in kind of this pale color along Birch Meadow Drive were also noted in the report as needing to be replaced. So I believe the report said that there were 4 additional ones, and the DPW looked at it and they thought it would be a good idea to add 2 more. So with an enforcement order, you always need a official body to declare that it's an emergency, and that would be.
That's not an enforcement order with an emergency.
Oh, yeah, sorry, in this emergency certificate, you need someone to declare that it's an emergency, and that wouldn't be the Conservation Commission, it would be else. So, you know, town manager, absolutely appropriate, but also the DPW director and assistant director could do it. So they wanted to take down additional trees. I thought it was appropriate we worked out a plan with the RMLD where they went down there and they checked it out. And they felt that they could get close, but reach in to pluck out the poles and drill next to them while being on the dry ground above the wetland area, like wetland. I'm gonna say that because it's also a field. And so they could actually get to the work very quickly. Everyone was concerned about these poles falling down, so this emergency certificate had to be issued quickly. And in my opinion, it was absolutely appropriate that that it was signed and sent out. So they did take a lot of the precautions. I believe that they're done at this point, and the poles are up. I'm not sure they were rewired yet, but that will be happening. That's really not something that we really care about, because that seems like more general maintenance than removing or working this close. So with that, I issued an enforcement order, and the way that works is I can issue it, but the commission can decide whether or not it was appropriate. And they can also have an opportunity, if they decide it was appropriate, to add additional conditions. So that's where we find ourselves tonight.
And you just said enforcement order.
Yeah, I keep meaning certificate, emergency certificate, as it says on the agenda. So 2 options.
So having said that, does anybody have any comments or questions for Chuck?
Where's the wetland on there, Chuck?
That rectangle to the lower
Well, that
left.
whole thing's a wetland.
Yeah, so the story goes that they filled in Birch Meadow to create a field. But the story also goes that they dug out these areas and they became wetlands. So I don't know what the real story is, but I know when they did the master plan, the Birch Meadow master plan, they needed to figure out, the recreation department needed to figure out what this actually was. So they hired a firm to do a delineation out there. And that field is a jurisdictional wetland according to that delineation that was paid for through the recreation department and the master plan for the Birch Meadow complex. So we're still using it as a skating area. Well, it's, hey, no one said a wetland. I skated on a pond when I was a young guy. So they use it as a skating area.
I made a pond when I was young, guys.
There you go. Yeah, and so that hasn't been stopped. We've tightened up a little bit some of the areas where we don't want them to mow, but it's also so wet they actually can't even get to those areas anyways. The machines they use just sink. So I think we've come to a good spot, but I would agree with everyone that it would be nice to have that additional space that wasn't wet or jurisdictional as a field, but there's no way to get around that. It is what it is.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right,
Do we need a motion to
to.
ratify
Yes.
the
Yeah, and I'll have to
emergency?
grab that so you can sign it because I need to send it to DEP.
Okay, I move that we ratify the emergency certificate for the light poles at Birch Meadow.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
Xerox the next.
Hugh in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. And just to be clear, Sherrod, you broke up a bit. You said in favor, correct?
Yes, in favor.
Yep, I thought so. I just wanted it on the record. Okay. So next is a brief update on the MBTA situation from Mr. Joe.
Sure. So the MBTA, they had a request to withdraw their NOI on November 12th. We discussed that during the previous meeting. There was a brief update on December 2nd. There was a letter from Philip Ang, the interim Mass DOT secretary and MBTA general manager, stating that they appreciated and valued the feedback from elected officials and residents around town. And after careful deliberation, they're no longer going to pursue the Vine Street location, and that coincided with the withdrawal of the NOI. So the way I read this is that 0 Vine Street is technically the station. They appear to be referring to the Millette Soames location, that they will not continue to pursue a new notice of intent in that area. But there hasn't been any kind of further follow-up from the town or from the MBTA since that December 2nd letter. So That's the only kind of additional dialogue that we've had over the last month that I'm aware of. And from here, since both NOIs are closed, I'm not
So
sure.
that's not legally binding from our perspective.
Correct.
It wasn't closed with prejudice. It was
Without.
without prejudice. So theoretically, they could come back even though they have a letter saying they're not going to come back.
Correct, and that's
But
where.
that
I
doesn't
think-
matter as far as right now.
Right, for the Conservation Commission, it doesn't matter because we don't have an open NOI in front of us. From town discussions with our town manager and select board and state representatives, this letter has at least a little bit more basis of
Yeah.
where they intend to propose this, so.
And if they did decide to come back, that would be a PR issue they have to
Yeah.
work out with the people.
And Joe sent me a copy of that letter
Right.
and I put it in the file. And I would expect if, you know, if they come back, well, I'm here and anyone on the commission would say the same thing. No, this letter says you're not putting in that spot. And it would be the first fight. And then we'll see where they want to propose it outside of Millet, Soms and Morgan. So I think that's a great, that was great that they put the letter together. It really took a lot of pressure off the Millet, Soms and Morgan area and what's going to happen in the future there, because I think for the foreseeable future, nothing is going to happen by the MBTA in that area.
Good, very good. So then it makes sense that we can disassign Joe as the MBTA liaison because there isn't any situation to liaison with.
Good job, Joe.
Unassigned.
I like misassignment.
Dispose of either way, it's.
So can I have a motion to boot him out?
I move that we thank Joe very much for his service and release him from his obligation to be the MBTA liaison.
Walter Talbot seconds that, and thank you, Joe.
Chirag still, thank you. In Chirag still in favor, thank you.
Rick, you in favor?
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Rowe is in favor. I would say thank you, but you heard it from me already. Not going to go forward with that. Next item, we're going to get a DCR trail grant update from Mr. Talbot.
Oh,
Walter.
yes.
Are we getting one from Walter or from?
And it's only
Mr.
8
Turner?
o'clock.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that we're talking about the, Walter, this is just about the original grant, right?
Oh, you mean without the machine?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to give us the update in the interest of time?
No, Walter has prepared a couple slides. I think this is, so we want to keep this and the budget on our agenda and give the opportunity for our people to talk about it because we want that momentum. We want to find out when they need help. And, you know, again, me and Walter are working on this grant. Rick and Frog is working on the budget and, you know, like I said, if you don't have them on the agenda, you don't make that opportunity, it kind of gets forgotten about.
Okay. I'm fine.
And with that, are you good?
You tell me how to do this.
Okay, so you should have, I think you should, yeah, so you have
Yeah, we
hosting
should.
permission, so you should be able to just, put them up.
Share screen.
For anyone following along at home, we are going to get to this in a moment. We're having a quick.
This is the time where Brian usually, what do you do? Do you fill in the time?
I could fill in the time, but you would have no interest in what I
Here
was.
we go,
It
here we
is.
go. Might want to expand that a little bit.
Just go full screen.
Oh,
Okay,
beautiful.
So the trail we're talking about is the brown part of the trail that wraps around the recal. The gray part is going to be produced by somebody else. And then we are going to get involved with the brown part, approximately 500 feet. So We have till February 2nd to present all the paperwork. The biggest hurdle in the beginning is, do we have permission to go ahead and do this? We have the form from the town manager filled out approving progress. And then Chuck has liaisons with the folks over at Concord that did their project. So this is somewhat similar to what it's going to look like. It's going to be a raised wood trail. Notice the sides will have rails and screen for protecting the people from falling in. And then there's going to be rest stops along the way, including places that are wider where two wheelchairs can get around each other. So that's where we stand today. I still have to dig into the Concord proposal a little bit more. And then obviously carrying on conversations with Chuck.
So a couple of questions, at least for me. Is there anybody else we need approval from besides the town manager, select board, anybody else required?
So the DCR grant just asks that the landowner approves the land, approves that we're doing the work. And so in discussions with Andrew McNichol on the grants that they've been doing, the town manager just usually signs off on that. This is well known by the town, and those gray areas that Walter had talked about are going to be part of the town's permit and build out. So they will be building the Recal Center, the parking lot, the pickleball area, all the landscaping, but they're going to be providing 2 trails that are ADA accessible down to about, do you see that? Down to about where the wetlands are. And that's where our work starts. So we'll be taking it from there out into the wetland and creating this access trail, which the one in Concord is quite popular. And like I said, it's elevated, and it's all these things are for a reason. It's for light to get underneath. The elevation was required through the DEP, and we're going to get into that. So the first step is design and engineering, and we want some construction estimates. So that is the grant we're going for in 2026. And so if we're awarded that grant, we could send out an invite to different companies to develop this project for us. And that's what we want to do. If you see in the middle picture, there's a conduit pipe. And so this place in Concord, like, I don't know if we're ever going to have this kind of money, but that is to allow cell phones to work out in that area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they thought of everything, and it's brand new, and it was just approved by DEP. Someone I know very well helped on the project. Funny enough, I didn't know anything about it when I proposed this project at Recal, but just talking it up, different events, we discovered each other, and he's like, hey, you should check this place out. So this is not exactly what we want, but it's darn close.
So my second question has to do with the application due date. I know there's still, whatever, 7 weeks to go. How's it going? You said you're making progress. You're making enough progress? What's happening?
I don't have a Gantt chart, but
I really don't need a Gantt chart anymore. I'm retired.
So maybe we should have, it seems like there's plenty of time.
Okay, I mean, that really was a question about whether you needed any help. Do you need a boost from anybody?
We have, well, it's mostly Walter. And I'm going to say, and I, but we do have other people helping this also. And including Andrew McNichol, who's going to review the final chart. We do have other people that come through town hall, and they have a lot of experience with grants that is also going to review it. Me and Walter, I did mention it, and Walter doesn't know that I carried out on this, but we're gonna have a meeting coming up, I think after the holiday, after Christmas. And we're gonna talk to DCR, and tell them about our projects and ask for, ask for advice. We probably have a little bit of, questions at that point. So I have no doubt that we'll be able to put a grant together. We've done it before. I've done it with the Trails Committee a couple of times, and no doubt, but my concern is I want it to be noticed. I want it to be awarded. So I'm hoping, but I want to just make sure I cover all the bases. So if you can think of any bases that we can do to elevate ourselves above anyone else that may be trying for these DCR grants, that would be great. That's what I'd like others to think about. And of course, reaching out and having a conference with them to tell them about our project, and, having the ADA groups in town sign off and say that they support the project. Those are other things that we're doing.
I just, looking back on my days of running projects, I just want to say that if you do need help, obviously, the sooner you ask for it, the better, because then there's a more chance that something can be done. Waiting till there's a week left before the due date and then saying, I need help, is not helpful.
Well, I'm in the process of composing what I'll call the marketing aspect of it, because we have to outcompete other people
Gotcha.
asking for the money.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're going to need help, try and raise the flag as soon as possible. It's important that you have time and don't let any embarrassment or anything stand in the way. If you need help, you need help. And the outcome of this is good for all.
It
of
sounds
us.
like Brian really wants to be part of this project.
It's not what I'm volunteering. I just don't want it to be.
Well,
a
We
loud-
got your number, okay? We got your number. If we,
Just lose my number.
we got your number. We need,
Okay.
we need it.
I'm losing all kinds of confidence in you. You're the same person that talked about being the vice chair.
Yeah, but I drink.
All right.
So I have a couple of questions, something that might attract attention. Our library now has a webcam on a bird feeder, and you can watch the blue jays feeding on the bird feeder from inside the library. I don't know where the bird feeder is, but it's really fun to watch the birds coming in and out. I wonder whether something like that mounted somewhere along our trail, aiming not at the people, but at the wildlife, might be an aspect that would not increase the price much, but might provide
And actually, to
education.
to piggyback on that, that's some additional justification for the conduit to help with cell phone, is it also would help with the wireless signal for the camera, should you choose to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the trail will pass, whether we would want to have some educational plaques along the trail, like the ones we have at Millet Soms Morgan. So just two thoughts of making it educational as well as a lovely walk through the woods.
I'm gonna put in a order for a sign that says Red Wing Blackbird, because I know they're gonna definitely be out there. So those are good ideas. I think that that process that you're talking about is really not what me and Walter are going through. It's more like we want to get a grant to have those discussions. So during that design and engineering,
With the plan.
we would do public information sessions, and there would be a couple presented, and we would probably try to take all that ideas and get them into the final design. But
They're right up, they're looking for things like, is this connecting on the trails? Is this going to attract poor people to come, et cetera, et cetera? It's all
Okay.
touchy-feely
Okay.
marketing.
yeah,
Okay, well, all right, moving on.
moving on. Next on the agenda is
Is a discussion on any budget update information.
So I'm not sure that you know that you have a partner. So Brian, why don't you?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so why don't you start out with that?
Partner, he's hiding up there on the screen.
I can't wait to finally.
I'm there. I'm here.
Yeah, Shirag has
volunteered after
wanted
the
to be
last
part
Thank
of
you,
it.
Shirak.
Yep. Happy to help anyway.
Their arm is probably healed by now from the twist. No, he volunteered and looks forward to working with you.
Thank you,
So
Shirak.
how, you guys have each other's email at least,
We
right?
do have each other's email. I know, Chuck, you gave me a gentleman's name from the finance committee,
Joe Conahan.
Joe Carnahan. I haven't.
Joe Conahan knows about it, so
Yep.
if you reach out, it won't be a surprise.
Yep.
We're obviously talking about in the future, and
Yep.
he's probably a wealth of information on how to get this process working.
Right.
And I don't know if you know this, but if Town Forest Committee did get their 50,000 or 40,000, whatever they asked for at town meeting. And so,
50.
By
you
the
know,
way,
we have different reasons. This is not just, hey, yeah.
and by the way, Joe was on this commission for a few years too.
Yeah, so-
FinCom stole him from us.
Well, him and John Sullivan, yeah.
So the plan right now is get through the holiday, and I'll set up a call, or meeting, Shirak, you wanna grab coffee or beverage?
Sure.
Like I said, Chuck, you're always welcome to join us.
Sure, you might want to at least know when the due dates are
It's
for
spring, right?
draft applications to like warrants and things like that, but you might, I mean, I think Joe's gonna be most important. Didn't someone else say that they would help us too on this, but the thing about it is, I just want to make sure we don't miss any
Mary.
deadlines, yeah. We don't miss any deadlines. So we have a couple people that has reached out, to the commission, and I can get you those numbers, but I know that Joe is one of them, and, yeah. Knowing
You
that.
don't know when the deadlines are yet.
Well, anyone who on a regular basis puts in budgets and
Yep.
puts in warrant articles would know. I would have to find out because I don't usually do that, but I could get that information to you.
I know that CPA wants to present to select board in January or February to get on the April town meeting warrant.
Mhm.
So that gives you a clue as to when the deadline is certainly by the end of February.
So, budget is, I mean, this may turn out to be exactly what the town forest committee did and asked for a warrant article. Because a budget has to go through public services and it's a different process, but that might be something that works also. You know, right now it's kind of in a discovery phase, so it can go in either direction, warrant article. And, you know, we can explain our reasons. I know, I can see Chris Haley's on the line, so I almost feel obligated to say that each year that the Trails Committee and the Conservation Commission put in a request to the select board for about $5,000. This budget request is going to be $20,000. And it's $20,000 because we want to plan for events in the future. Plus, we want to take care of the 1,000+ acres of land that we have. So we're getting 10 now between the two committees. This budget would in the future take care of the Trails Committee and the Conservation Commission, and we would no longer ask for that 5,000 each or the $10,000 that we're getting each year from the select board. And so I'm the liaison to the Trails Committee, administrator for the Conservation Commission. I run both budgets anyways, so it's a no-brainer that we would essentially only be asking for another $10,000 on top of what we're getting. And so we could put a presentation together to show everybody what we need to do and what we haven't been able to do, and hopefully move forward with that. So that was a quick.
Why does 8,000 ring a bell to me?
8,000?
Yeah, didn't
We've got 6,000 a couple times from the select board.
within the last
Did
year.
we get
I
7?
thought I heard $8,000 somewhere.
We have had 8,000, but that included some discretionary funds from the town manager's account. So the total for the year, maybe what you're thinking about, there was one year we might have had that amount.
Yeah, I think we asked for 10 the Conservation Commission alone for the last 2 years. And we got over 5, north of 5, 6 or so.
6,500.
And so Yeah, I like the trails. I'm sure a lot of people like the trails. I think that it's been said that, a lot of people, they're used to traditional sports, but there's a huge population in Reading that their sports are walking the trails. And so,
I mean, you see what he did, it's trails management, right? You have your own plans, you got your forest management, you got your conservation management,
absolutely.
you have your volunteers. You know,
We have
obviously
quite
they're
a
volunteers, but how much does it cost for the lunch, the tools?
tools,
They- I
getting
don't-
back
I
and
don't-
forth. It's really, so
Your
the,
salary's not a part of any of this, right?
no.
Okay,
So, yeah, my salary doesn't go to
Not
any of
a
the,
good thing.
yeah. So
maybe ask for a little bit
the
more.
Trails Committee, the Trails Committee can spend their $5,000 the next day.
Yeah.
Because they need, because between my volunteers from local realtors and the Next Step volunteers, we need so much stock to try to put these trails together. And it's like, yeah, we do have trails, but a lot of them are flooded. Pine Vale was completely flooded. And people walk up to us now and say, thank you for putting in the boardwalks, because now you can actually walk through it. So, and we're putting in 150 feet, 150 more feet there this summer, starting at Warren Ave, which was a trail and a trailhead that this commission approved. Trailhead's in place right now.
I don't think you're on us yet. But
Pardon?
I don't think you're on yet, but it's fairly recent.
So I think for right now, maybe I'll coordinate a meeting with Chirac, Chuck.
Yeah.
We can all get together and start it off. I'd like to do it after the new year if that's possible.
Sure.
I got a lot on my plate right now.
Just bear in mind what Martha.
Yeah, I will.
You don't have a ton of time. Okay, ready to move on? No, because it's not a second meeting for him. I'll wait till the second meeting. Okay, so the next item is the proposed meeting schedule for 2026. Everybody has a copy in front of them. Are there any dates with significant conflicts we should be aware of? I wanted to look at Veterans Day and 4th of July to see how that works out.
We moved the Veterans Day one to a week later because it was on Veterans Day this year. And
So
I'm
that's
looking at
on
the
18th.
submittal dates are always 2 weeks before the meeting. Is that correct, Chuck?
Are they posted somewhere? So I'm sorry.
Chuck gave us all a piece of
Oh,
paper.
okay.
Well, the submittal dates are on there.
But Chirag doesn't have the piece of paper because
Oh.
he's.
That's okay. That's okay. I see it in Brian.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No worries.
Is that submittal date the application, or is that when the chair, vice chair, and you, Chuck?
That's
discuss?
the last day people can submit something to be considered in the next meeting.
Okay.
It's at the end of the day, that day,
Okay.
typically the Thursday before.
Yeah, but these are all a full 2 weeks before.
All right, Chuck, what am I missing then?
Yeah, that's what I was a little confused.
So I think, so 2 weeks prior to the meeting, you want to be on, the applicants have to submit their complete application. So those submittal days are correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what is the thing that they need to get to us 1 week before a meeting? Is that new information on an existing?
We don't really
NOI?
have a policy on that. Typically, I tell everyone, you have to get it to me before distribution day, which would be the Thursday, last day we're here, the week before the meeting. So the Thursday before the meeting, before 2 o'clock.
Mhm.
But that's for supplemental material. That's not for initial applications.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so the thinking around Veterans Day was that the Wednesday is actually the 11th. So we had a choice of moving it the week before, the week after, and we chose the week afterwards. So that's November 18th. And 4th of July is on July 8th, which means our typical day for site visits for that meeting would be Monday the 6th. I don't imagine anybody has their plans for 4th of July laid out yet, but
I might.
So Rick might,
Yeah, I might rather do the site visit the morning of the 8th, for example, rather than trying to get back from being away in time for 8:30 on Monday morning
okay, so.
after the 4th
So
of
we
July.
obviously don't have to schedule that here
Yeah.
and now, but when we get to that point, make sure we
Yes.
talk about it.
Right.
And maybe even the Tuesday, it depends, but just so we're aware that Monday isn't gonna work for our default. Yay.
So I can send this around, and we wanna, if anyone has any issues or dates that don't work or wanna have any changes, I'd have to send them to me. Let's say, what I'm looking at here for dates. '22nd, 23rd, or at least by the 30th. We want to have this posted beginning of the year, so maybe by the 22nd or 3rd, just before Christmas. So if I send them out tomorrow, you have that amount of time to really review those and see what's going on and check your vacation calendars too.
Wait a minute, I'm on vacation all of these days.
Nice life.
And so since Chirag does not have this in front of him, they're all the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month, with the exception of that November 18th one. And the second Wednesday of December comes quite early because it's December 9th.
And I
As
think-
does a couple of other ones are the 8th or the 9th.
And the July 4th week might be problematic for people because the 8th is within the July 4th week.
Right.
Do we want to bump that one a week later and have two back to back?
Close together.
Or would we bump both July 8th and July 22nd? Because that's a 5 Wednesday month.
That actually makes more sense.
It's an intriguing idea.
That's a good idea.
So July 15th and July 29th. July 15th.
The only one I know that I might have an issue is the February 11th. That's a break.
I think for me, July 29th and somewhere in March are the only two that stick out right now that I may not be there, but otherwise should be fine.
Okay, so just finalize your thinking and let Chuck know.
Sure.
July 29th, but if we meet on the 28th in July, it would be fine.
No, I'm going to be, that's the only trip I kind of know I'm going to have is 25th July to I think like 4th August or something like that. So I'm going to be out that week, and then in March, I'm going to most likely be out 20th to the 3rd. Yeah, that's in March. But
Okay.
other than that, should be-
July 22nd, because that's our usual fourth Wednesday.
So you're suggesting the
Well,
15th.
It's
and the
okay
22nd?
if an
Yeah.
individual one, we're really looking for those holidays that we don't.
We have a lot of people.
Yeah, we have to
who-
make sure that we don't, I mean, the town should provide a master list, but but basically what ends up happening is everyone in public services kind of looks over each other's calendar, but
And the September, so for Labor Day, it's September 9th, which is later. So that probably would be okay. Yeah. Get it more closer, but you should double check that one. Okay. So give your updates to Chuck if you have any.
yeah, I'll send out an email tomorrow.
Next item is site visit at 43 Arcadia. And again, this is not, there's no NOI or anything on the agenda yet. This was to allow us to look at it before the snow flies. We wanted to be sure that we saw it beforehand.
Yeah, so Mary Trudeau reached out to me and asked if you had any concerns. And on your behalf, I said we'd like to make sure you meet the redevelopment standards.
Yeah.
which is, you know, it's a list of, A through H.
Well, no, FG, because the last two are mitigation and restoration and mitigation. But it's 10.58, parentheses 5, which is the redevelopment in a riverfront area. And then there's a number of sub letters under that. And essentially what it says is you have to meet all of A through E, or you have to do either mitigation or restoration. And so it includes things like, if you're building something, it has to be no closer than existing structures. It talks about the square footage of the property in the riverfront you can cover.
So they should just look through that, I think,
But
yeah.
that's an important section to look at. We've run into it heavy duty on 2 projects in my time here. And one in particular was a lot of back and forth, a lot of involvement with MACC, DEP, whatever, to get the interpretation understood on some of the aspects of it. So the words are simple, but you want to think about it so you understand the interpretation. And I do believe there were 3 of those that may be an issue depending on what the actual plans look like when we get them. Depending on that, it may or may not tip over one of those letters. Doesn't mean they can't do it. If it does, it just means they have to do mitigation and restoration. So.
Also, like A, it says there must be
Improvement.
an improvement over the existing conditions to the resource, which is the stream and the river. And so what are they doing to, and then it also implies that it's for the size and scope of the project. So a lot of commissioners think that, hey, sometimes when they put up a fence, that's an improvement because it blocks off a certain area. But, you know, I don't know what was out there. You guys had an opportunity to look if it was barren by the bank, or there was erosion, or there was invasives. Improvements are kind of like in that area. But yeah,
And there
there's
are,
just a long time to think about it before the meeting comes up, and it would be like really good to get the commission to get used to looking at the regulations, understanding this is riverfront, this is redevelopment. In your minds, does it qualify? Have they met all the standards? There's also this chart that they're supposed to submit that quantifies the degraded area and does one of the calculations for you, or makes it easier to figure out. So there's that too. This is not a tough project. I don't want to make, if they're listening, I don't want to make them think it's a tough project, but it's a good opportunity for the commission to bite into the regulations on a project that with some planting probably is fine.
and again, it is riverfront. Reading has a fair amount of riverfront, and the regulations are different than pure wetlands, so be familiar with them.
All right.
I was not part of all the conversations. Has this site been approved by the town building department or whatever? I mean, it's in their front yard.
I don't know, and it doesn't matter from our perspective. But I mean, if they're approved to build a 900-foot ADU, then we'd have to look at it from the conservation
Those
perspective.
ADUs were approved by the governor, so everyone has a right to do them by right if they make the rest of the regulations. So that's a great question. Do they meet all the zoning requirements? It seems like they would. I mean, they talked about that. They've been at town hall a while talking to different people.
Right. That's pretty cool.
So I think that they can meet the zoning. Is there other things they need to meet? I'm sure there are, but we can look at it, like Brian said, without worrying about the other groups giving their approval or even looking at it, as long as they know about it, because our order of conditions does require them to get all other applicable permits.
I mean, there have been cases where we said, okay, we're not going to close until we get an answer on this, or this. So we could do that. That's, we're not.
That was more like stormwater that was in part of our permit would affect us.
Yeah.
But like
Well-
zoning wouldn't.
Well, small lane, if the fire department approves the hammerhead or not.
Well, the hammerhead, right, but so that makes a difference because if it's a cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
it would change the disturbance.
Given
But
dimensions,
would
yeah.
we hold up if CPDC, which was also in that note I passed out?
Yeah.
Is curious about, do they have the right, they have the right to enter because they have an easement, but do they have the right to build on top of that easement? And they asked to prove that. Would we hold it up for that? I don't think so, because that's not really where conservation is, but planning certainly wouldn't.
But either way, that's a moot point for right now.
Well, those two examples of when it would matter and when it wouldn't matter.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you're just trying to get more talk time or if this is really.
Less time, talk time. Okay,
So if they were to make improvements that included combating invasives along the riverbank, that would be an improvement that could help them get this project approved.
Yeah, so I think, so an improvement that wouldn't be helpful to the Conservation Commission would be to, in my opinion, if they removed an existing impervious patio and made it pervious. That's not, to me, they were gonna do that anyways because they have a beautiful brand new addition but what they weren't going to do is something further back by the stream. And the regulations also say the closer the better. So we want to try to get that improvement as close to the stream or in the stream as possible. And I think Mary already mentioned there may be some planting coming up,
Right.
but that's the kind of things that you want to think about when
Yeah,
you go through
But
this.
in addition to planting, it could also be invasive management.
Absolutely,
yeah, we've used that
Okay.
before.
Yeah,
on
because
the
that would
Maple
that would
Street.
improve the habitat and that would improve the environment. Yeah, so that would be good.
Okay, now moving forward to old new business. First item, the conservation staff coordination meeting was canceled December 2nd. Then we get the violation notices, no new things there. I've been by 445 Pearl Street and the work has not been completed yet, so we'll stay on here. You were gonna send him another letter?
Which one?
Pearl Street, yours.
Yeah, update him. I'll have to do that.
Okay. Administrative report on Matera Cabin.
Yeah, so, everyone's leaving for holidays. I had completed my list a couple weeks back about, what I thought so we got the second engineering report, but we lost our building commissioner who's out on sick leave. But I was asked to look at the list, try to figure out what volunteers could do and what we couldn't do. And I put that list together and I sent it to Andrew, and Andrew needs to send it on up the line. But I don't think we'll get back to having a meeting about this until January. And my hope that it would be all set by now, because I was going to use January through June to work on the cabin. At least the volunteers always include me, so during the volunteer part of that. And obviously June through September is when I actually have my regular volunteers come in, so we'll be doing outside work at that time, so it might be hard to do work in the cabin. So my hope is it gets resolved in January.
Do we have any idea of how many events we needed to turn down that would have been hosted at Matera over the last 3 months, roughly?
It's funny enough you ask. So, yeah, there's been several. So, let's say 20 or less. But what one person called me up and they said, is it open? I told them no. I always call the people back and let them know because they're shocked by it. And she said, it was the only place her handicapped sister could get to that, that they could, it's like an affordability thing. And she said it was great because they could get someone in a wheelchair right in. That's our whole issue over there. I said, well, it's gonna be better coming up in the future. So stay tuned. But she felt it was, had the access they needed for their family.
Yeah, you said affordability, you meant accessibility.
So we're fixing the accessibility, but this person was going because of the accessibility and affordability. Because there's other places in town that are ADA accessible.
Okay, all right.
But more expensive to rent.
Exactly. So that
Got it.
was that's why this was so important to this person.
Okay. Minute,
And just one other question. Is somebody checking on that building regularly through the heating season to make sure we don't burst pipes because we're not using it regularly?
So there's a bunch of people that go there. We still have trail projects, so we go there to take things out of the garage. I'm there to do different things, usually on a bi-weekly basis. And so, yeah, so we got the heat on, so far so good.
Okay.
And the facilities is also out there. Although now that it's closed, I'm not sure they're going as much as they used to, but it's a good idea to make sure the heat's on for sure. I mean,
Is there a remote temperature monitor?
I don't know how all that works, but I will tell you that I walked in there at the beginning of this season and it was really cold and I made a phone call to facilities and they had 2 people right over. So I'm going to say they do not know when it's cold.
okay, moving on. Minutes, we only have one set to approve, and that's September 10th. Since we talked about it last time, people have read it. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes from September 10th?
I move to approve the minutes from September 10th.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
You in favor?
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay, any last comments or anything before we adjourn?
Do we need public comment at all?
Yeah. Any public comment?
Chris,
If any public comment online, because nobody in the room, please use the raise hand function. You'll find it under reactions, the lower part of the screen.
Chris Haley, I don't know.
Is he raising his hand?
All right. So should we announce that we don't have a second meeting? Brian's busy. He's got a big day on the 25th, as you can tell.
I knew that was coming. All right, so this is our last meeting of the year.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna let know that Chris Haley has his hand up. Chris, you can unmute. I made you a co-host. I don't see that Chris has his hand up. I don't see it on here.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm
Okay, never mind.
Nope, I don't see that happening.
Okay, so this is our last meeting of the year. I wanted to take this opportunity to say a few more words than I've said already tonight. I want to thank all of you for volunteering your time. And I want Joe to become an actual member and no longer hide in the associate member category. But no, do appreciate it. We do need one more person. If you know anybody, talk to them. We have room for associate members as well. And it is a pretty short meeting, which is good. It's a good way to end it. So I do want to adjourn and make sure everybody is aware that we appreciate the work that you do. And bear in mind that Martha does the most. And having said that, I want to adjourn at 8:44. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I move to adjourn at 8:44.
Walter Talbot seconds that.
All right.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
All in favor? Say aye.
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 Great. Thank you. Can we end the recording? Hang on.